What up, Doe? Welcome back. It's Tuesday, November 30th, the year of our Lord 2021. And we are approximately, I can't do the hours. So I'm just going to go, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Almost 4 days on the dot from kickoff. Iowa, Michigan, 2021 Big Ten Championship game. And I was not live last week due to holiday commitments, but it's interesting because last week the show I was going to do, it was just kind of going through my head before we decided not to do it, was what would 10-2 mean without the trip to Indy? Because who thought? I mean, I thought Minnesota had a shot, but it was no guarantee Iowa was going to beat Nebraska, as we saw on Friday. I'm still not sure they pulled it off, but and then to see Wisconsin choke like that was great. But I'll get into that in a little bit. Tons to talk about over the next hour. So let's get up. Let's get into it. Recap on the weekend. Did anything happen this weekend? I'm not sure. I know they're playing for something. They're playing for a championship. They're 60 minutes away. It's incredible. Yes, a lot has happened this weekend. We could go on for days about what happened this weekend. PJ Fleck is an incredibly handsome human being. At least he was on Saturday. And let's just start with the utter shock. I can't believe it. I cannot believe walking out of Wisconsin a month ago today at the end of the third quarter that this team would be in the Big Ten Championship game. I wasn't confident they were going to win 4 straight. But look, they did it. They had to win 4 straight and needed a royal flush on the river, and they got the ace on the river to hit that royal flush. And so I almost don't even know where to begin with it all. But let's just start with Nebraska. Iowa somehow, in a very Iowa fashion, finds a way, 28-21. One of the worst first halves you'll see. If they put in a first half like that against anyone else, not named Northwestern, they're probably done. They hung around. That first half was terrible. But they hung around and made the plays when needed. Did Nebraska fall apart? Yes. Allowing a block punt, but to allow a block punt, you got to make a play. The fumble by Smothers was pretty pathetic, but Iowa made a play in the end zone to get the safety and get the ball back. So Iowa made plays in that second half. They woke up. I credit the Hawkeye, the whole time I'm watching the game, and it's like, okay, they clearly, this first half has been terrible and the offense can't score. And even though they did score a touchdown in that first drive, that was called back. But just be in this, because you felt like maybe Nebraska, if anything, could give it to you. But I thought Iowa made plays late. Nebraska wasn't doing anything late in the game. Iowa was just shutting them down too. So I think it was a little bit of both. Hank Marchese. Who would have thought that Hank Marchese? Who? I don't know. If Iowa ends up winning, he's already a hero. If Iowa wins Saturday, he'll put his name with the All-Americans at Kinnick, because he'll deserve it. Going to Petrus to start the second half, when it happened, I thought they were done. That was a little over the top, I will say, but I was in the throes of a game that Iowa was probably going to lose. So I wasn't thinking too clearly. I thought Padilla was okay. He wasn't great, but I didn't think he was terrible. Credit Kirk, though. Petrus came in, and it just kind of settled everything down on offense. It ended up being a really good move. 7 of 13, 102. Missed a couple throws like he does. Made a couple throws. He ends up running for the winning score. Leads him down the field to win the game. And, we'll get into it a little bit coming up with the Big Ten title game. But, he made plays. And he showed why he is a winning quarterback, as much as maligned as he is. And I think rightly so. The guy still can't really hit slant patterns. But it was the right move because they won the game. I don't know if it won the game, so I don't know if it was too early. It was just, I will say this. I didn't go to halftime thinking They got to get Padilla out of there. I absolutely not. I mean, it was pretty surprising actually. I was following the game on Twitter and watching it, and on Twitter they're like, yeah, Padilla's taking warm-ups. I think he's coming in, and I'm like, they can't be. But I will say this: I don't think the play dropped off at all, and it got a little better. Thanks to Tyler Goodson, a lot to do with that. 156 on 23 carries. Offensive line, all of a sudden now, a couple games healthy, couple games together. There is a push, and I think that is obviously a key against Michigan. It might be one of the few keys Iowa has to beat Michigan, but it is a key, that offensive line. That was great. That was great to see. Tyler Goodson, you talk about giving a game away. Tyler Goodson had that horrible fumble deep in Nebraska territory. And, I mean, he doesn't fumble there. They score. The touchdown at the beginning counts. Iowa was blowing them out. I digress. Iowa won the game. I don't even care. And Iowa won the turnover battle. I mean, that's the recipe. They won it 2-1, forced 2 turnovers. They win the game. They only committed the one, the Goodson fumble. It was actually caused by, I think it was Linderbaum he ran into. And then I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about the Nebraska game, just because I want to get my teeth into this weekend. I'm so excited about it. But, Iowa beats Nebraska, and you're sitting there going, okay. I in my head, I'm like, the worst thing in the world would have been if Iowa loses to Nebraska and then Minnesota beats Wisconsin. And Iowa gets the help, and they don't even take advantage of it and all of that. So when they beat Nebraska, which felt like miraculous at the time, you go into that Minnesota-Wisconsin game. I felt okay about Minnesota's chances. It was in Minnesota. It was, all that. But at the end of the day, Wisconsin's annoying enough, and it just felt like they'd find a way, which you just expected it. And sure enough, a pick six early, and watching that game, it felt like watching an Iowa game in a lot of respects. I will say this: I'm glad I don't have to root for Minnesota each week, because it is pretty maddening with like fifth year quarterbacks who are struggling to make throws. Tanner Morgan was pretty good though, in that game at least. But they're very Iowa like. They're maddening at times too. Maybe it would be the same as watching Iowa actually. But it was the weirdest thing. So I'm watching the game. Actually, we ended up going to a hockey game that we had planned to go to back in Detroit, Red Wings game. And so I'm watching the Minnesota-Wisconsin game on my phone. And I'm following it on my phone. And then I went and watched some of the Wings game, following it a little bit on my phone. And then I happened to stumble into an arena bar to catch the last 5 minutes after Minnesota kicked a field goal and Wisconsin missed one. And it was like, because I had booked when I was 6-0 after the Penn State game. Tickets were already taken care of through the Iowa ticket office, but I had booked a hotel, everything. It was set, and I canceled it all after the Wisconsin game. I canceled it all. It had to be canceled. They weren't going to go. So I'm scrambling at the arena in Detroit, trying to book a new hotel, and luckily did. We'll be in Indy. It's all good this weekend. But it was just a surreal experience to see Minnesota's actually going to do this. Like, they're going to pull this off. And I was going to be in Indianapolis after all that. But this team deserves it. And I feel great for the kids. I feel great for Kirk, and they really do deserve it at the end of the day. It tapered off in the middle of the season, the Purdue loss and Wisconsin. And I mean, I was as demoralized as anyone. I mean, it was awful, but they respond after that Wisconsin game. They could have easily packed it in. And I admit I checked out a little bit that Northwestern week. I didn't want to watch. And that game was brutal. But they found a way against Minnesota, came back against Illinois, and they just grinded one out. And I was prepared to come on here after the Iowa game before Minnesota beat Wisconsin and just kind of go, 10-2, not going to Indy, but it's a really nice year. They still won, shared with the West, but Minnesota wins and the party starts. And Adam came on with an emergency Big Ten West celebration cast. I wish I was there. It's a shame I couldn't be on, because I was so happy. I could barely focus at the Red Wings. I was just like, I can't believe they're in Indianapolis and We're going next weekend, and it's unbelievable. So I'm so happy. It was so much fun 6 years ago. It's going to be such a blast this weekend. And so let's just get into it. I mean, Michigan is the opponent. Somebody, an Iowa fan of my friend, Iowa fan, texted me during the game, and he said, if Iowa during the Michigan Ohio State game, and said, who would you want to see Iowa play if Iowa ends up getting the gift and getting from Minnesota and getting to Indy? Would you want to see him play? And I said, I think I want to see him play whoever loses this Michigan Ohio State game. And that's kind of how I guess I'll take that back. I would rather play Michigan even after Saturday than Ohio State, from the simple fact that they just will not match. They're not going to beat Ohio. They have zero chance against that Ohio State team. They can't match up personnel-wise. Ohio State spreads them out. I think you saw it would closely resemble the Michigan State-Ohio State game. And then you see what Michigan State and Michigan was like. I think that's the parallel. It's a matchup disaster for Iowa. That was I mean, look, if it's Ohio State, play Ohio State. It is amazing. Iowa's been to Indy twice now, and Ohio State hasn't been there either time on the other side. Michigan State now. But it is a better matchup. That being said, Michigan could just very well be on the verge of becoming, Dabo, Clemson. We're going to kill everyone, go on this Alabama-like run. I don't know. Who knows? So maybe this is just the stepping stone of Michigan rolling and playing Georgia for the national title. I don't know. I don't really care right now. That's not my concern. Iowa is in the Big Ten title game, so I can't sit here and go, God, they got to win and they got to do it. No, I mean, they're 10-2. This isn't a perfect team. This isn't, it's not like when they started 6-0 and they're number 2, now they're 12-0 like we thought they could probably beat. No, they're 10-2. I mean, if they win, they're not going to the playoffs. So all the pressure's on Michigan. The whole world is on Michigan. They're a 10.5-point favorite, which I do think is a little too high. But it was expected. And so at face value, I hate the matchup because Michigan's really good. Then again, if you're in the Big Ten championship game, you're going to play a team that's really, really good. And you're likely going to play a team from the East that's on the cusp of going to the playoff and is either Ohio State or has beaten Ohio State. So I don't know if there's any like, oh my God. I mean, this is the deal. This is what you sign up for when you're going to the Big Ten title game. I'd rather be in the Big Ten title game than not. So I think we'll just at face value just kind of leave it at that. That we're happy to be there and 60 minutes from a title. How can Iowa win this game? So there's some obvious things. The turnover battle. I mean, isn't that true with every game? But I think so much that if it's 0-0, I don't know if they win. Like, I don't think that's not good enough. I think they just have to win the turnover battle. That's probably a must. It's shown in these games. When they win them, they win. When they lose, they're not beating anyone. That's just how it is with a limited offense. Michigan can turn it over a little bit. They do a pretty good job of protecting the ball. They don't make a lot of mistakes, which worries me. But Iowa, there is a path there. If Iowa can look, Iowa has to play probably their best game of the year. Stop the run. Hassan Haskins ran for 169 yards. I think Blake Corum ran for 60 something. It might have been 80 something. Anyways, I mean, Ohio State wasn't. They were lining up, just running it down their throat. If Michigan does that to Iowa or Georgia or they're going to win the game. I mean, that's number one. I mean, if that happens, then it's over. And it is what it is. I don't think it'll get like that. Penn State slowed Michigan down. I think they had about 122 on like 40 carries. So they can be slowed down there and make these quarterbacks beat you. Make McNamara and McCarthy beat you. Make Jim Harbaugh, force him to make a decision. Am I going to go with McCarthy? And I've seen several situations where, and this has been Jim Harbaugh's best coaching job by far, maybe since his Niners days. But make him make a mistake with the quarterback. Make him, bring out McCarthy on a 3rd and 1 for no reason. Get them in those situations. He loves to switch them out. And make those quarterbacks beat you. It's so funny how this differs from the Michigan State game 6 years ago, and totally different teams and everything. But Michigan State, it was all about Connor Cook and those receivers. And it's just like, I don't know how you stop them. And Iowa did. Michigan State couldn't really run the ball in that game. And this is sort of not the opposite, because McNamara and McCarthy are solid, but they're not. This isn't like Ohio State's throwing offense. They're going to try and run the ball on you. I mean, they're going to line up and try and stuff it down your throat. Iowa needs to stop that, first of all. If they don't, they're not going to win the game. And nobody's beating this Michigan team if they can run like that. And again, it's all in the margins, the little things, be in it. 5 years ago, was it 5 years ago? Yeah, 5 years ago when they played Michigan in 2016, they were a 3-touchdown underdog at Kinnick. And it was at Kinnick, the Keith Duncan game. And it was all about, I remember talking to my friend who's a Michigan fan before the game. And, I was like, can Iowa really win this game? And I thought they had no chance. But I thought if they can get this game to the second half and just be in it, they can make the plays that they can just be in it in the second half. And that was Michigan's best team before this one. That team should have been in the playoff. It's arguably Harbaugh's worst loss of his career. It set them back really until this year. They haven't recovered. And it was just, can we be in the game? Just be in the game and make the plays at the end. And Iowa was in the game. They hung around. I think it was 10-8 at halftime, something like that, and made the plays at the end. And I think it's going to have to resemble that a lot. Now, tougher to do, better Michigan team. Just a Michigan team that knows how to win now. That's been a problem under Harbaugh. And you're at a neutral site. So it's easier said than done. But I think that's the key. I will say this. I don't think we get to the point spread 10.5 Michigan. I get it. And whenever Iowa's going to be in any of these games, in the Big Ten title game against Ohio State, Michigan, heck, even a Michigan State team, a Penn State team that gets there, they're going to be the underdog. They're not the sexiest. Michigan has all the sexiness, and they just beat Ohio State and the largest alumni base in the world. So everyone's going to be betting on them, and Iowa has no chance. And that might be true. I don't know. I want to believe, and I really believe, that Iowa can keep it within 10. I don't think it'll be anything like that. I don't think it'll be like anything like that. I don't think Iowa's going to win by 10 or anything. It's going to have to be, a lower scoring dogfight type of game that Iowa's in late, and you have to make the plays and win in the margins the Kirk Ferentz way. They can do it. I mean, there is a path. Tyler Goodson's not Kenneth Walker, whatever his name is, at Michigan State. But Kenneth Walker ran on Michigan. I mean, he had a field day. And Iowa's offensive line is coming together. They've been able to run the ball the last couple of weeks. It can happen. They can make it work. They can get up and down the field on teams. I don't think they can do it against Michigan. Where do we start with Aiden Hutchinson from my hometown, by the way? Or the other one, Ojabo. I mean, it's just too overwhelming, and there's two NFL ends, and Iowa has no chance. I don't think that's the case. Michigan is a spectacular team that will be probably in the national championship game if they win this week. But it does feel like this is winnable. It does not feel out of this Iowa team's reach. This Iowa team still won 10 games and beat Penn State at home. Went to they won on the road. That Iowa State team was much better, I think, than 7-5. That was still a really nice win. And they went in there and just smacked them around. So I think Iowa, we talked about being happy they're there. I think this is also, one, they're happy they're in this game, but two, I think it's a second life. I think it's a second season. After the Nebraska game, I was running around with Big Ten West shirts, which I actually did not have a problem with. I would have had a problem if Iowa started raising banners and touting that we were the champ. If Wisconsin goes to the title game, that gets kind of rough. But if the kids want to do that, do it. You went 10-2. This isn't like some 7-5 consolation season. But I had a feeling when they're running around with their shirts that there was also the sense of, okay, Wisconsin will probably win tomorrow, so we're going to celebrate tonight. We have the trophy and all that. Well, all of a sudden now, Sunday, I think Tyler Linderbaum was, or maybe it was Jack Campbell, was out hunting. I think it was Campbell, hunting, and was following the game on his phone. All of a sudden now it's like, oh, wait, we have a game this week. We have new life. I mean, let's go. LFG. So I think there's a lot of that goes into this too. I know that's how I was at that hockey game. I mean, it was like being reborn. Oh my God, we have a chance. We're 60 minutes all of a sudden from winning the Big Ten championship, which is, I mean, it's everything. So I think there's a lot of that. This is not some, it'd be different if Iowa had lost to Nebraska and was kind of, they still won the West, but was kind of hobbling it. I mean, this is a team that they did play well in that second half. I think or I should say in the fourth quarter, they played well down the stretch. They really did, and made the plays when they had to. So there is hope. There's this narrative out there that there's just no hope. Iowa's always going to be a double-digit dog to anyone from the East in the Big Ten title game. That's how it is. If Iowa's there next year against a 3-loss Ohio State team, Ohio State will still have the athletes that'll make Iowa a 10-point dog. That's just how this works. So I'm not even paying attention to that much. I mean, if it was like within 4, I'd be like, okay, that's a little weird. But 10.5, it just, I don't know. Michigan's coming off the most emotional win probably since the 1997 national championship game, or the Rose Bowl against Washington State when Michigan won their last natty. So I think it is a lot to ask Michigan to just roll in and start whipping 10-win teams too. So, but we'll see. Maybe they do. Whatever the case is, I do think Iowa will be ready to play, and Michigan might just be too good for them. I'm not sure. And that's the greatest thing about this, because I thought if had they run into Ohio State, I would tell you they probably have about a 1% chance, and you're going to need some mistakes from OSU. I think Michigan is a very good team. I think Iowa can beat them, though, by playing their game. Today it was announced, yesterday it was leaked, Spencer Petras will be starting. Oh, boy. I actually did not mind it, and for a couple of reasons. One, I do think, at least we've seen, Kirk would switch. It would be surprising unless like Petras throws 4 interceptions in the first half or something. I don't know if he'll switch, but I think there is the chance that he would pull the trigger if need be. I don't know how likely that is. And that being said, I do think Petras is the right choice, because it feels like they're, at least at the end of that Nebraska game, they found a little more confidence with him. And he did make plays, and I'm just going to trust Kirk. Maybe this whole season and all these ups and downs and, the demoralizing losses and me leaving games early. Maybe it's all about just trust the process. Trust Kirk. And Kirk we trust. Isn't that the old saying? And so maybe that's the key. And maybe it's just, he's going with a hunch. I think the entire world and their mother I would have been stunned had they gone back to Padilla to start this, just because of the loyalty thing. But I'm going to trust Kirk on this. I will say, and it seemed to have been shot down by Petras himself, there won't be a 2-quarterback system at all. Like, not even different packages. Petras is like, yeah, we don't run that, so it's probably not going to happen. I don't know. I mean, Padilla can run. They're not the exact same quarterback. So I think Michigan's going to run different sets. I think Iowa could do that. And so I don't know. I don't know with Petras. It worries me with Petras that Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, I'm going to have nightmares of this. Hutchinson, Jabo are just going to get in there, and Petras can't move because he can't move. And Padilla at least has some wheels on him. Not that he runs much, but he can get out of the pocket. I thought that would have been a better matchup for Iowa. But there's a mention in the chat there, and I want to touch on it about the college football playoff right now, because the rankings just came out before I jumped on the air here, and I had the same thought about Iowa being 13 in the new college football poll. I think they're up from, I want to say they were like 16. And yeah, Gary Barta, anything he says, but this isn't even, it is a Gary Barta thing, but anyone who's running the college football playoff committee, I don't even watch. I can't handle any of that. It just they don't make sense. It changes. They're going to screw Cincinnati next week, the whole thing. Iowa jumped to 13. I think they have to be in the top 12 to get a New Year's 6, which is sort of the catch-22 because they're not going to go up. I mean, I guess if they lost to Michigan on a Hail Mary or a field goal at the end, maybe they would jump up a spot. I doubt that. If you're in the top 12, you can get to a New Year's 6. I think they'd still have to be ahead of Michigan State. So I just think it's win and go to the Rose Bowl, lose, go to the Citrus Bowl. In terms of them going to the college football playoff, I mean, it would take a lot of chaos. I think it would take a type of OSU beat Wisconsin like 59-0 and 14. I'm not saying you have to get that bad, but because they're still 10-2, but I think it would have to be multiple touchdown victory over Michigan and still probably some chaos. I do not think, like, for instance, Georgia wins. Okay, say Michigan loses to Iowa. And then say Cincy wins. Cincy's in. They're not going to jump Cincy with a 2-loss Big Ten team. You still have Notre Dame there. I would still think, even with the Brian Kelly stuff, I don't even understand what Bart is talking about. Why would that even hurt their cause? That matters now. Now you're going to punish the kids because Brian Kelly's well, this is like a family show. I'll just say he's not a very good man. And I don't even blame him for taking the job, but getting sidetracked. I just don't see it. For the playoff, I don't know. I don't see it. If they blow out Michigan, then put them in the playoff. Otherwise, I don't know. It's funny. Like, you need the Wisconsin loss to get in this game, and then Wisconsin losing last week hurts your cause if you win this game to get into the playoff. I think it's just Rose Bowl or Citrus Bowl. It seems pretty black and white to me. And quite frankly, I'm not even. This isn't even like a. They need to get. This team's not a playoff team, I don't think. And I don't think that should really be a discussion. It's just win the Big Ten title. I'll be so happy. I mean, I'm pretty happy right now that they got to this point. But I mean, that would just complete everything. I think just win the Big Ten title. I think as a side note, boy, we're getting real off the rails. So many things going through my head. I think as a side note, you could see Kirk maybe retire if they win Saturday. That's my own. I always thought if they could win one more Big Ten title, he would retire. Who knows? He's been weeping a lot this year, emotional weeping. But that's a great point. I don't know. I mean, if there's enough chaos, maybe. But I can't think about the playoff. Beat Michigan. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the chips lie. At worst, if you beat Michigan, you're going to the Rose Bowl, which is a pretty damn good consolation prize. It was 6 years ago, even though 27 seconds from the playoff. And it'll be, you tell me this team's going to the Rose Bowl, I would be ecstatic. And back to the game, Petrus or Padilla. Everyone's going to say it's a mistake. Padilla should start. Petrus he's just been a winner. Yeah, I was all for Padilla. I'm still, going into next season, I like Padilla. I like his game more than Petrus if he can get better. But I don't mind it. I'm going to trust Kirk and his gut here. I just will. And not a lot of people, maybe it's the wrong choice. Maybe it's a mistake. I'm going to trust it. And, look, they're in Indianapolis. They're 10-2. I'm going to trust them. It's worked. This season has been a success. So I'm gonna really just put my faith into old KF on this one, and feel that he gives us the best chance to win this week. I think they could play them both together, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. And I worry, Petrus. The other thing that really worries me about Michigan, and I've thought about this a lot too, is, man, they seem like, Michigan for years has seemed so with Harbaugh, and it goes in line with the Jim Harbaugh's best coaching job. People aren't going to like this. I thought he should have been the Big Ten Coach of the Year, Jim Harbaugh. Mel Tucker's done an amazing job though. But the thing with this Michigan team that scares me too is, and it goes back to them not making a lot of mistakes. They seem together. They do, and it's an Iowa type of together. Like they entered the season, they weren't ranked, afterthought. 9-3, not going to beat Ohio State. Maybe beat Michigan State, which they didn't, ironically. And they just seem, even that Penn State game a couple weeks ago when they came back and won at the end, they needed a drive. They made a drive. They came out and just punched Ohio State in the mouth and ground them down. And, the Michigan teams of the past, you're waiting for them to make the mistake, and they didn't. And so there is that factor where maybe this is just a tidal wave. And that scares me. Now, I don't know if there's much Iowa can do about that. I mean, I honestly, I think if Iowa and Michigan both play their best games, period, I'm not sure Iowa could beat them. I just don't know if it's possible at this point. Just Iowa's limitations on offense. I don't think it's possible. That's why they play. That's why I would have told you 9 out of 10 Wisconsin's beating Minnesota. That's why they play. Minnesota beat them. So that is really the biggest thing. Schematically, even personnel-wise, Iowa's going to be in this thing. I mean, Kirk's been around long enough. They've been in games like this. Iowa's been in many pressure situations this year. The Penn State game, they can compete with teams like this. That's why I think Ohio State was just too talented to over-talent them to death. And Michigan kicked their ass. So maybe they're walking into a buzzsaw here. But I do think Michigan, I think the only thing that could really take Iowa out of this game is if Michigan just has that mojo and they have that Georgia-like, thing going. Michigan State, look at that game. And that game was on the road at Michigan State, rivalry game. But Michigan State hung around, got Michigan in a tight situation, and Michigan crumbled. So you never know. You just get them in that situation. Just be in the game. And I think Iowa will be in the game. I think their defense is good enough to be in the game. And if Iowa can run the ball, then they can win this game. I fret at the thought that they can't run the ball and Petrus is dropping back, 25 times. Because if they win doing that, then Kirk Ferentz is a damn magician. Some injury updates. Matt Hankins done for the year. They no bones about it. He's done. Won't be playing. Won't even be playing in the bowl game, whatever it is. Absolute shame. Dude's a warrior. I'll always remember forever his tackle on 4th down against Penn State a couple weeks ago, where he just laid out. I think it was their fullback, and went just like this for 4th down. I loved it. I mean, that's my favorite moment of that game, probably outside of the touchdown. And so it's a shame. It's a shame for a guy who's been here and been a great warrior for Iowa that he can't play in this game, but he's in good spirits. I saw a quote today. He's just so happy that they're in the Big Ten championship game. So I'd love to win this thing I'd love for them to win this game for him. Terry Roberts should be back. That is nice. That is big. I think it has certainly hurt their special teams. It'll help to have more bodies back there. The not beauty of the Hankins injury, but the silver lining of the Hankins injury. If there's a position, if there's a group where next man up can really just step in, it's that defensive backfield. Riley Moss will be back there, Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year, Riley Moss. And so it's, Terry Roberts will be back. And other than that, they're pretty healthy. I mean, they dealt with that flu bug last week. I think some players still had the flu going into that game, and they won. Tyler Lindenbaum had the full bout of the flu, according to Kirk. And he looked like a machine out there. He looked like the best center in college football again. He has all year. And so maybe they had the flu in the first half, didn't have it in the fourth quarter, but they're fully healthy. That bug seems to have been gone, and they're gonna give it their best shot this weekend. And it's just, God, it's so, I'm sorry, I keep repeating myself here. It's so amazing that they're in this game. 43.5 is the over under in this game. And I didn't realize, I guess I just didn't put this together. And I've watched most of Michigan's games this year. I didn't realize how much they score. And they've done a really nice job scoring. I mean, they can put up points. Usually with Harbaugh, it looks a little like, at times, like Iowa's offense. But they are scoring points. And so 43.5, it's almost like if it's over, Iowa won't win. And if it's under, Iowa probably still won't win. But if it's way under, Iowa might win. And so that's really a demarcation there. But and that's a great point there. They are run heavy. And so I mean, you just can't stress it enough. Make those quarterbacks beat you. Stop Haskins, stop Corum. Like that's number one. If they're running like they did against Ohio State, the game's over. Or Iowa's not going to win. If Iowa gets down, I don't know they can come back. Like, and keep scoring. Like, if Michigan just keeps scoring, I don't know if Iowa can do that. They probably can't. Their quarterbacks do turn it over a little. I will say that. I have seen, you saw a bad interception against Ohio State by, I think that was McNamara. I've seen McCarthy fumble the ball quite a bit. They do turn it over. Iowa's all of a sudden kind of turned it over a little bit too. In the games they lose, here we are again, turnover differential. They do, and the games they win, they don't. It's going to be in the margins. Iowa might win the margins and still lose the game. That's how paper thin this is. But would we really have it any other way? Like if Iowa went in there and won by 35, would we really enjoy that? Yes, very much so. It would be the most incredible night of my life up to this point. And so that's my wrap on that game. If it was OSU, I wouldn't sugarcoat it. And I'd tell you they don't have a great chance. It's Michigan. I think they have a nice shot. I do. I can't wait. I'm going to be down there. Maybe we'll do a post-game thing. We got to work that out. And I can't wait to get down there and just take it in. If you haven't been and you can get down there, I even say, even if you don't go to the game, I know ticket prices have been getting crazy. Even if you don't go to the game, I've been down there for a past Big Ten title game, didn't go to the game. It's just a great time around there. The block party, it's a celebration of Big Ten football. It'll be all Iowa fans. I mean, not all Iowa fans, but there's so many Iowa fans. There'll be so many Michigan fans. It'll be a blast. I recommend it if you've never been to take this in. And so I wanted to, before I get to basketball, because all of a sudden, wow, big week for them, take a step back and look at the state of this program. And I've done this a couple weeks now. And after, it's funny, after the Penn State game, it was like, wow, I think we're taking that next step. And then the Purdue game happened. And then the Wisconsin game happened. And I was talking about the opposite of, this is how it'll always be until Kirk retires. And there's no way out of this hell. That was a little dramatic. There's no way out of the spiral of just 8-4. But they've won 4 in a row. They finished 10-2. And even going into the Wisconsin-Minnesota game, I mentioned this a little earlier, that was good. It really was, because this team, there are limitations. It happened to shake out schedule-wise where they got out to that hot start, faded a little bit, but man, they regrouped and they fought and they battled. And that Minnesota game, they got outgained and they battled and made plays and found a way. And that Illinois game, they're down 10-0 and it was cold and they made plays and found a way. And a Nebraska game that's 21-6. I mean, what's the percentage chance that Iowa is playing in Indianapolis? They're down 21-6 late in the third quarter. They have to win that game on the road and then hope Minnesota beats Wisconsin. What's the percent chance? It's less than 5. It's probably about 2. ESPN, I think they had a 0.01% chance of winning that game. So astronomical odds they overcame just on Friday and Saturday alone to get to this point. But they did. I mean, they're 10-2. They won the Big Ten West completely outright. There's no sharing, nothing. I see a lot of mostly Iowa State fans. Oh, yeah, Minnesota. I love Iowa State fans. You kick their ass. So I don't know how they talk. They go 7-5. Iowa whips them in Ames, and they're still talking. I don't understand it. But I see you needed Minnesota to do your dirty work. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, but okay. Iowa beat Minnesota and Wisconsin couldn't beat Minnesota. I understand Wisconsin beat Iowa, but like Iowa did beat Minnesota. It's not like Iowa lost to Minnesota and Wisconsin and then just got to get. I mean, Iowa earned this. They went 10-2, 7-2 in the conference. They deserve to be in this game, and they won the West outright this season. I don't know if people want to hear this because we all want to win the Big Ten. I want to win the Big Ten. If they lose Saturday, I'll be disappointed because these chances do not come around often. And I hope it doesn't take another 6 years to get back here. But if they lose Saturday, this season has been a complete success. It's been a roaring success. If you've ever seen a video inside or a hype video at Iowa, over the doorway in their locker room, it says the road to Indianapolis goes through these doors, something like that. And so the goal for this program is obviously it's to win the Big Ten, but really it's to win the West. Win the West, get to Indy, and get 60 minutes from a conference title, and then see what happens. Like I can't. If Michigan turns out to be Georgia or close to Georgia, if they're Alabama, can I really sit here and go, boy, Iowa, man, they blew that chance. They should have beaten that. I can't do that. I just can't. We all want more. Every school wants more. I want more. I want to win natties. I want to go to the playoff. I want to win Big Ten titles. Michigan wants natties. They want to go to the playoff. They want to win Big Ten titles. Ohio State's not even playing this week with all that talent. Michigan State went 10-2. They were this close. They were a Purdue win away from being maybe in Indianapolis. So it's not fair for people to poo-poo this season. It just isn't. And I'm pretty cut and dry. I want to win. I think, 9-3. Had they gone 9-3, I think that's not a good ending to what should have been a really good season. They did it. They won the West. They found a way. And that's how it is in the West. All these teams are really close. That's how it is. And that's the beauty of the West, and that's what sucks about the West. But that's the beauty. They came out of the dogfight and they won it. They're top of the heap for a year. And their reward is to play Michigan 60 minutes from a Big Ten title. Win or lose, the season's a roaring success. If they win, this is one of the greatest seasons in the history of the program. I mean, it might be with the championship game involved. It might be, dare I say, the great. I mean, honestly, like you go and win in Indy that Iowa's never done. It would be a complete success. But I am going to be going to Indianapolis. I'll be leaving Thursday through Sunday. I will be there. And I will be just enjoy this week. Enjoy it. I thought in 15 I didn't get it. I mean, I was enjoying that whole season, but you go, God, we're returning all these people. So like, we're going to be here next year and we're going to be here in like 18 and man, we're turning the corner. You never know. They might lose this game. Kirk retires. And then I don't know, is Brian Ferentz? I don't know. You never know. Ask Texas, ask Oklahoma, ask Ohio State. You thought you were winning the Natty this year, maybe after that Michigan State game. So it's so tough to get to this point. It is. It's so insanely tough. Enjoy this moment. Enjoy this week. Take it in. If you can get down there, get down there. If you can go to the game, find a way into that game. It's a blast. This is what it's all about in the Big Ten. It's about getting to this moment. Yes, I was talking to my brother who's a Michigan fan, diehard Michigan fan, and yes, Michigan, this is not their ultimate goal. It's to get to the playoff, this and that. For Iowa, this is the ultimate goal. This is what our program is built upon, winning the Big Ten. If you can get to the playoff, then it's, I can die happy. But this is what it's all about. And a win Saturday is forever. I mean, it really is forever. And you know what a loss Saturday? This is one of the great seasons that Kirk has put together. The coaching job to keep this team together, albeit a limited team, 10-2, outright West champs. You know what? It really turned out to be a magical season, special. And God, if they can find 60 minutes, if they can find a way, I'm getting chills thinking about it. I can't wait. They got a shot, and we'll see what the chips lie. Let's go right now. Let's do it. Well, we have several days, but until then, let's get over to Protector. Inside joke. Let's get to the basketball team. Incredible win last night. I loved it. 75-74 over Virginia. They were up 21. Held on for dear life. Thank you, Joe Toussaint. Beautiful, beautiful bank shot to win that game. I think it's clear now. Well, okay, I'll pump the brakes there. I don't know how good Virginia is. And that's taking nothing away, because that is Iowa has had a historical first half offensively. It's clear that this Iowa team, from the way they played in that first half and really found a way to win that game, I think they're better than we thought. I do. Now, how much better? It might be, they're 6th in the Big Ten rather than 9th. But they're an upper, especially you see the Big Ten teams are struggling. They're an upper half of the Big Ten team. Are they like Purdue? No, they're not going to win the Big Ten. If they can finish in the top 4, I think that's a big. It would be a gigantic success for this program, and getting back. Obviously, you'd be back in the tournament with a really nice seed. They found a way at Virginia after. Look, they played maybe the best half they could in that first half offensively. They fell right into Virginia's trap. Virginia, they won the national championship 2 years ago. You knew they weren't going to go away. Of course they're on the road. Iowa wasn't going to just roll. And they found a way. It was great. So it was a great win for the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Iowa's all of a sudden the king of those games. And it probably will go down as the most impressive of all the wins, at least up to this point. I know there haven't been a ton of games, but I saw Indiana was really struggling with Syracuse right now. Or when I came on the air, but no, it was a great night last night. Keegan Murray might win Big Ten Player of the Year. I saw Kofi Coburn later in the night. He's really good, but Keegan Murray is just the only shame is I think he has to leave Iowa after this season. He's got it all going on. The NBA is going to love him. He's such a joy to watch. I'm not sure how many players. Aaron White's the only comp, and even then, I think Keegan's just a bit more smoother and obviously translate much better to the NBA. Just his back and his coast to coast game, and he can do everything. And he had a spin move yesterday, put some guy on his ass, and it was like I broke my ankle looking at it. It was unbelievable. He went for 18, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. But how about Jordan Bohannon? And when he came back, it was so you knew it was so valuable. He was such a valuable returnee for this team. For him to come back was such a big deal. And man, did it was vintage J-Bo. And if they're getting that out of him, then this team, they're going to win games in the Big Ten. This is an upper half of the Big Ten. I think they can challenge for that top 4 spot. He went for 20. He goes 6 of 9 for 3, hit 6 threes. I thought Joe T was obviously he hit the game winner. He was really good off the bench. Didn't turn it over. Iowa ended up with 4 turnovers in that game, which is just outstanding. Virginia never turns it over. They still turned it over more. They turned over 5 times. Really cleanly played game, I got to say. And Iowa deserved to win. They outplayed Virginia much more than Virginia outplayed them in the first half, and much more than Virginia did in the second half. It was going to be a real shame had Iowa lost that game because they really deserved to win it. And it'll be interesting to see what this Virginia team is. Now it's a road win, which will be great for their net. And Virginia's not going to – I don't think they're going to be disastrous. I wonder how – is this a tournament Virginia team? I don't know. They had a loss to Navy. I saw they had a couple – that was their 3rd loss. They're 5-3 now. But just something to keep an eye on. Iowa's 7-0. And it's an exciting team to watch. And this is here we go with the ebbs and flows. Coming into the season, it's like, look, they're going to look really good, and they might look really bad against the really good teams, but they're going to look really good against, maybe just average teams. And I think that's kind of where we're angling. And what a perfect test coming up to bounce that out. They go to West Lafayette, which I was thinking about going to the game since I'll be in Indianapolis, but West Lafayette's like an hour and change away. So I think they're doing a watch party in Indy for it. The Iowa-Purdue game Friday night. But, Hawks in West Lafayette last I saw, Purdue was killing Florida State. Looks like they're up 9 now. They'll probably pull away. That team is they're wonderful. I mean, it's a really good team. If they don't win the Big Ten, I wonder who will. It'll be stunning to see who actually won it if they don't win it. So that's not going to be easy. I can't imagine. I mean, if Iowa wins that game, then all bets are off. Then we can start talking about winning the Big Ten, because that would be, and you're never going to, I mean, Iowa has a chance at probably the best win of the season of any team in college basketball, winning in West Lafayette this year. So it'll be interesting. I don't expect them to win. I'll be interested to see what the line is in that game. I dare I say double figures, road, Purdue. But look, then they come back home for Illinois next week, and they start 1-1. If they're sitting at 1-1, 8-1 overall, heading into Ames, Illinois, you got them at home. You probably should beat them. I mean, that's nice. And this team they look better than we thought. I think it's the other guys. It's the Chris Murrays and the Sanford played for about a half a second yesterday, but the Tony Perkins came and gave him some pretty good minutes, took care of the ball. Aaron Eulis, they have ball handlers, took care of the ball. Patrick McCaffrey hit a big 3 at one point. When this team's scoring, they're going to be tough to beat by anyone. I mean, if they're scoring like that against Purdue, even, it's going to be tough for Purdue to beat them. Now, Purdue is much better and should beat them, but it's not going to be easy for teams to beat this Iowa team when they're scoring. When they're not scoring, when they get caught in that half-court game, and look, Virginia is a completely different animal, but when they get caught in the half-court game, it can get ugly. I mean, a lot of those possessions and they were heaving and making a couple of them that saved them in the game. I thought Phil Rebracha was really putting some really nice minutes. He goes 4 for 4 for 8, and 3 rebounds in that. He missed 3 free throws at the end that on Twitter he's like, next time I got him, I hope. Look, all's forgiven. Joe T hit the shot, but man, I mean, those are some big free throws to miss down the stretch, but didn't matter. Iowa found a way, 75-74 over Virginia. And so just a look ahead, I mean, you get Purdue. Okay. that's, I'm going to say near impossible right now, just at face value. Come home for Illinois. Home games, the Big Ten. Look, in the Big Ten, win your home games. Try and split on the road, see where that lies. Illinois got Coburn back. They looked a lot better last night against Notre Dame. That's still not the Illinois team I think we thought. Maybe they're getting to that. They looked better. They don't look like world beaters. Iowa can win that game, I think, at home. Should be a rocking crowd, especially if they're honoring the football team for winning a Big Ten title at halftime, but I digress. Maybe they will be. And then next Thursday they go to Iowa State, and then back into the non-conference cupcakes until the new year. So big stretch, great first test that they passed. I was so interested to see how this team handled playing a real team, and it was great. It was great that they passed that test. And so it's exciting times for the basketball team. And if they win Friday, it's going to be a great weekend in Indiana. You know that football team's winning Saturday. I think I can feel it if the basketball team pulls it off on Friday. But it should be fun. Maybe I'll run into some of you in Indy. Should be a blast. I was in Indianapolis. Enjoy it. Savor it. Doesn't get any better than this. This is what it's all about. There's 60 minutes from a Big Ten title. The basketball team looks better than advertised. They're 7-0. Times are good right now. And let's just keep it rolling. Coming up on the hour now, and I think I'm going to leave it at there. Tomorrow, Adam is on at 7 Central, previewing more of the Big Ten title game. Can't get enough of it. I'm sure he'll have thoughts on the basketball team as well. And I will try and just look at our follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. You can see it up there. Twitter at Iowa Sports Review, Facebook, Iowa Sports Review, Twitter at IA Sports Review. You can catch me at Go Iowa Awesome under Classy Hawkeye. My name. My articles run on Fridays, and I'll have something this Friday for sure. Follow me on Twitter at Classy Hawkeye. I'm Tom Clos, the host here. And hopefully we have something this weekend after. Look, if Iowa wins the Big Ten title, I'm going to have to come on or something. But we'll figure that out. Otherwise, until next time, go Hawks. 60 minutes from a Big Ten title. Let's find a way, get it done. I will see you for sure next Tuesday. We'll break down everything in Indianapolis, everything from West Lafayette, and everything from Iowa City. Iowa will have played Purdue and Illinois up to that point. So a lot to talk about as we head into basketball season and hopefully celebrate a Big Ten football championship. But until next time, thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Go Hawks.